Welcome back to the Family Ties podcast. My name is Julia Avery, and this is my sister and fellow co-host, Kelley Ritchie.
Hi, guys. We're back again. How are you doing, Julia? You surviving?
Yeah, surviving and thriving.
I don't know how thriving I am, but, that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah. Well, so today we're going to be talking about James Hutchinson, a 6-year-old from Middletown, Ohio. Kelley, do you kind of want to tell us about how you found the story?
I actually found it on Reddit. It was just kind of popped up on my news feed. I kind of follow some pages where it talks about child abuse and different cases, and this one popped up as having, happened pretty recently.
James Hutchinson, he was 6 years old from Middletown, Ohio, which has a little under 50,000 residents. He has 2 surviving older siblings who have been put in the foster care system and are in the 2nd grade, maybe between like 7 and 8 years old.
Yeah.
Their mother is Brittany Gosney. She's about 29. And then her boyfriend, James Hamilton, about 42. So, Kelley, you want to kind of go into the charges?
Essentially, we'll just start with the charges before we dive into the story with you guys. But Gosney, the mother, she's been indicted on 16 counts, including murder and abandonment in the death of her 6-year-old son, who police say was dumped in the Ohio River and has yet to be found. I keep checking on it. Basically, the weather and the conditions have been very treacherous, and they've had no luck. So he's yet to be found as of now, but Butler County prosecutors indicted Brittany Gosney on Friday with 1 count each of murder, involuntary manslaughter, and tampering with evidence, 5 counts of endangering children, 3 counts each of kidnapping and abduction, and 2 counts of gross abuse of a corpse. Hamilton, the boyfriend, was also indicted on 3 counts each of kidnapping, abduction, endangering children, tampering with evidence, and gross abuse of a corpse. Basically, as of now, both of them are pleading not guilty to all charges in court. So at this moment, a pretrial date has been scheduled for today, which is March 22nd. It'll be several weeks from now before you guys listen to this or watch this. So I'm hoping that we'll have an update to give you on like a recovered body and hopefully some more justice for James. But a trial date has been set for May 24th, but that could change if Hamilton and Gosney decide to or are not tried together. So.
All right. So those are the charges. Now let's get into what happened. Why do we have all these nasty charges? So Gosney, the mother, was attempting to abandon her 3 children, including James, who died during this attempted abandonment, at the Rush Run Park in Preble County, Ohio, on February 26th. Rush Run Park is relatively secluded, and a Yelp reviewer describes it as a nice hidden little gem if you live nearby. There's a small cemetery nearby. Not a place to bring the family, but if you're looking for a nice quiet walk near a stream, this is perfect. James apparently tried clinging to the minivan's door handle. Gosney slammed the gas as James was dragged for a distance and was run over as Gosney drove away. She returned to the site like 30 to 40 minutes later to find him dead. Gosney allegedly brought his body back to their hometown of Middletown, Ohio, along with the other 2 children who were unharmed, the police said. Then the following night, she and Hamilton drove at least an hour away to Lawrenceburg, Indiana, to allegedly dump the body in the Ohio River, police said. Hutchinson's body has yet to be recovered. Treacherous conditions on the river have hampered the search effort. As of today, March 22nd, the body has yet to be located. Want to pick up, Kelley?
Yeah. So that's kind of the extent of the facts that we know about this case at the moment. And I think essentially all Julia and I are going to have to say from here out is going to have a tinge of some conjecture to it. And, that's just because there's not a ton known about this. So I kind of have included some questions that I would like to see answered. But they kind of go a little bit like, what were the other two kids doing, while Gosney was abandoning them? Like, what kind of scene was taking place? Were they fighting to get back in the car as well? Did they know what was happening? What made her go back for them? Or, was it just to see if James was alive? In addition to that conjecture, we really won't be able to know much more until the body is found and until an wow, words are hard. It's Monday, guys. Until an autopsy is completed. So this basically means that the motive also won't necessarily be made public until a trial takes place. Now, there is a motive that we'll discuss in a little bit, but I think, there is so much more to the story. So we just have like the bare bones. So I just think there's never a valid reason or motive that can justify killing a child. But I'm interested to know like a few things, like were substances involved, like drugs, being abused? Is that kind of what mental state were these people in? Because if you look at their photos, wow, that guy Hamilton, that's the kind of guy you don't want around your children. Like you just look at the guy and that's not a guy you want anywhere near the kids.
Absolutely not. And the whole terminology of abandonment is so vague to me because, if they're abandoning them, like, first of all, where are the other two kids when he was being dragged by the car?
Well, they were there. It's just that we don't know all the other details. So it's like, what were they doing? Were they just sitting there crying? Did they understand what was happening? Was he the only one who grasped it? I just don't understand. And
if he was dragged like that, so was this on the road, like by the park? Like, how would people driving by not be able to see? Or
well, it's secluded, like the little Yelp review shows, but it also says on some other reviews that there's street parking only for this park. So it's not like it's a big public park. I mean, right. Or, one with like a big parking lot. It's kind of, you just kind of park and then get on a trail. But
40 minutes to me just seems like a really long time for no cars to be passing by that section. If that's how long it took her to really come back.
That's a good point. Because
if it's street parking only, and that's where I don't know. There's just so much missing from the case that I'm having a hard time understanding the sequence of events in full, just because there's so many gaps. Just seems very vague.
I agree.
Something
completely.
So incredibly tragic. Like, we should have more information to piece together at least.
Well, there's more to this that makes this even more frustrating. But I also kind of am curious. The other questions that I had was, what was the reason that Hamilton, the boyfriend, was giving her to want her to abandon her kids? So, like, what was that discussion? Like, why was it so important that she get rid of the kids? Like, what was it to free them up to live their dreams? Like, what was it? Why, that is the catalyst for why she went to try and abandon them at a park. But, in addition to that, were the two, Gosney and Hamilton, were they going to go on the run? Like, because if the kids are found at a park, they're most likely going to be able to identify their mother as the perpetrator, like, to anybody, law enforcement or people that come by hiking. Like, I don't know how secluded this place is, but it doesn't sound like there would be a park ranger. But it's not totally impossible that they would run across someone else out there who they could ask for help. So it's like, if the kids were to run into somebody who was trying to help and the police got involved, like, I just don't understand
What is their
how.
end game? Like they have no dismount, like they have no plan to like finalize this in a clean way. Like what is their motive? What did they think they were going to accomplish by doing this? Because there were ways for them to get tracked down.
Yeah. And I
Like
mean,
they have.
so in addition to that, um, you know,
So we've got some information from the police, right?
yeah,
All right. So, after going to the police to report James as missing, their story fell apart from there. So they went to the police.
I think it was
And
after 12 hours, after he was missing for 12 hours. And that was the first kind of red flag to the police. Like he's been missing like that long. And she also, one thing that I didn't see, you may have already said this, but after she returned to find him dead, she then took both of the kids, the living kids, and his body back to their home.
so they had to witness his
Yes.
dead body.
Yes.
Oh my God, that is traumatizing.
Yeah.
How are they gonna recover from that?
Anyways.
Okay, trying to stay on track here. Which is really hard. There's a lot of things on his eye.
Yep.
Okay, so they got there and their stories immediately fell apart. There were also discrepancies between when Gosney and Hamilton allegedly said they last saw Hutchinson, and the whole situation was just red flags all over, the chief said. During the investigation, Gosney allegedly confessed to killing Hutchinson and that they disposed of him in the Ohio River, Brooks said. The mother is not showing much remorse at this time, the chief said. Gosney is a fourth child who, prior to this incident, was placed into foster care and adopted, according to Burke, who noted that the family had been in contact with child and family services in the past. So you got thoughts on that, Kelley? Why don't you go ahead and share that?
Well, I mean, the thing is that this is not surprising whatsoever, but we see it time and time and time again where, she's already been in the system as far as like the child protective services. They clearly didn't see her fit to parent this other child. So my question is why was she allowed to continue and have these other kids under her care? What made that one kid so special?
If you're unfit for one, you're unfit for all.
I mean, I would love to know the circumstances there, but it's like just another instance, like every single case we talk about almost. I think there maybe has been one where Child Protective Services has not been called. So
Right.
Their ineptitude, their constant failure. I mean, it is. Oh, okay. Julia, I know I said we were going to stay on track, but let me tell you this. I was searching on Facebook and some other places, including Reddit, for some groups to join and to watch where people are kind of concerned the way we are, and they're kind of calling out the shortcomings of CPS. All I could find were pages by parents who were kind of tangling with CPS and talking about how unfair it is and how everybody just wants to take their kids and their rights away. And it was so disgusting to me. It's all I could find. And I'm like, wait a second. The bigger issue here is that there's not enough people working in CPS. They're massively underfunded, understaffed, and they can't even address 70% of the calls.
Yeah, like some of the posts I saw from the page that we joined was so-and-so, CPS took my kid away. It's been a year since I've seen my baby, and my little angel and la la la. And it's like, if they actually took your child away when they mostly do nothing, you did something. You did something to demonstrate that she's not your little angel. So you need to.
Yeah. I thought that was going to be a very different page.
Yeah.
The title was very misleading, and I've been just grossly disgusted ever since. Like, I can't find anything of note or value.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
All right. Good side note.
Thanks.
Back on track.
Back on track.
James. So not much is really known about James Hutchinson at this time, but according to Marlon Stiles, superintendent of Hutchinson's Middletown School District, he remembered the first grader as a fun-loving kid who would come running towards the front of the school building with a giant smile on his face. That was James on a daily basis, Stiles said during Monday's briefing. Hutchinson's father told WCPO, I guess the local news or something, that he brought joy to everybody. He always loved to give hugs to people and everything. Lewis Hutchinson told the station he was a great kid. I do want to know
about the dad.
He was, yeah.
I really hesitate here. I think the main complaint that we get here on the podcast is that I get political too often. So I'm going to try my hardest not to. But I found the father on Facebook. And let's just say my opinion, for whatever it's worth, is that neither parent was really fit to have that kid.
Okay,
so those kids. That's it.
Even
That's all I
his
got.
Testimony of
Pass the
James
test.
It's still a disservice then with his testimony of what James is like.
Yeah,
it's sad. Nilo and James. So there's a connecting story. Different family, different kids. I don't think they ever met. It just somehow converged with some similar circumstances around the same time frame, like 5 days apart, right?
Yeah, just days apart.
So,
and within a certain amount of miles, I think within 30 miles of each other.
Yeah. So the connecting story is about Nilo. He was 3 years old, and he's simultaneously also being searched for in the Ohio River. This is Lawrenceburg, Indiana. The North Star International Search and Recovery and Ohio Landstar were unable to locate the bodies of 6-year-old James Hutchinson and 3-year-old Nilo Lattimore after they conducted a 6-hour search in Lawrenceburg Saturday. A search the previous weekend was hampered by high water, but crews say the Ohio River was receded a great deal. Crews have been searching for Nilo since he was reported missing on December 4th. His mother was stabbed to death on December 5th, but her body was found near the Purple People Bridge in the early morning hours of December 12th. Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters says Decian Brown, 20, killed Nilo's mother, Natisha Lattimore, and put the boy into the Ohio River alive. So
it's December. It's freezing
cold. Oh my God.
So
these two separate missing children cases, then 2 stunning deaths reported within 5 days of each other. 2 children thrown from bridges into the same river, still not found, as 2 communities within 40 miles of each other reel from the disturbing details that have come to light. Kelley, I'm going to go over the aunt who is raising Nilo's brother.
Yes. Marcia Cooper is an aunt who is raising Nilo's older brother, said she was devastated when she heard what happened to Nilo. I couldn't believe it. It's been tough, she told the Journal News of Hamilton. So the news of the Hutchinson boy death, Cooper said, opened the wounds again. So here's the thing. So with the 2 cases coming so close together in 2 nearby cities, not only having angered and saddened people, they've raised questions about children living in dangerous situations. This is the crux of what Julia and I talk about here over and over again. So this lady says that, I have to say that when people like this act shocked, no, this is me. I wrote this. So when people act shocked,
They're at the door. Sorry. Hold on.
who is?
Heather and Kira.
Hello.
Oh,
Hey.
let me see.
You can come in. Hi, Kira.
We were recording, and she's like,
Oh, we are. We are. But I'll say hi.
Hi.
Oh, that
How's the babe? Hi, Kira.
Do you want a shot?
That's Aunt Kelley.
Hi. Look at you guys. Mwah.
Okay,
Kira,
so,
look.
Say hi.
She said,
Hi,
Juju.
Kira. Hello.
You said Juju?
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Ask her
me?
to say Juju.
Say Juju.
Can you say Juju?
Juju? Juju? Oh, Jojo. She said Jojo. Don't take it. She said Jojo. Jojo.
Kira looks frightened. She's
Can you
like,
say
okay.
Ellie? Oh, you're Tai Tai. You're Tai Tai.
Kira, thank you. Thank you.
Can you say Aunt Kelly? Hi, Aunt Kelly.
Kira.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, she can't hear me.
Say hello.
Hello. Hello.
Say hello.
You can hear her through here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's back on. No, the other one. There we go.
Okay, sorry.
Kira is what? A little over, almost 2 years now?
What?
Sorry, I wasn't hearing anything until just now. I heard 2 years now.
Kira's almost 2?
Yes, in June. And we still need to plan our little birthday party
Oh, yeah.
because
Yeah,
we didn't get to
Kira.
last year because of COVID. Can you say Aunt Kelly? Aunt Tai? She says Aunt Tai. So you're Aunt Tai. I don't know if it is an Asian spelling or not, but Aunt Tai. Aunt
I
Tai,
like it.
Tai.
I'll take
Can
it.
you say Juju?
Say Jojo.
Oh. So how okay, we're celebrating little moments like
You're
Little
talking. You said my name.
Kira saying our names. Oh.
Can you say my name is Kira?
That's adorable. Yeah, look at that. How can
So
anybody
upset
ever
because she didn't know why she couldn't open up the door, and I said that you guys were in here and to just calm it, but she lost her mind.
She doesn't
Lost her
understand that.
She's my favorite little person.
Oh.
mind. Can you say see you later? Do you want wine or a shot or what do you want?
Oh, do we have Miller Lite?
Oh, I'll see.
I'll have Miller Lite.
Okay.
It's been one of those days, and I'm still not a drinker yet, but today might have turned me into one.
Oh, that's what mine
Oh,
is.
well,
So
you've
I'm
got
gonna have a
plenty
little
of-
wine. I have a little Riesling.
Oh, it's been over a year since I drank. And so sometimes I think about it, very occasionally I think about it. But, on my vacation in a few weeks in Costa Rica, I may have 1 or 2 drinks. That'll be it.
You should have like a Bahama breeze or something,
Yeah,
something tropical.
Yeah,
Mhm, mhm.
exactly.
Here, say tropical. Say tropical.
Tropical?
Tropical.
Yeah.
Show Kelly your fishy face. Fishy face.
Mm.
All right. Get her a drink. Okay, she's happy right now. Let me get her a drink. You a drink.
Yeah, she's happy right now.
Okay. Jabba dabba dabba do. Okay.
She's so stinking cute. Hi, Kira. Hey.
Okay. So
Without further ado, the thing is like it is nice to see like a kid every once in a while. It's been COVID, so I'm not around kids, but seeing a kid like she's like a year older than the kid that got thrown off a bridge. You look at the kids, you look at her just sweetness, her funniness, her little emotions, and you just think like, how could anyone do this to kids? How? Yeah, I feel that way too.
He wants my phone.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Kira, can you give me a kiss? Can you give me a kiss on my cheek? Kira? Hey. No?
Hmm.
So she'll do it, and she'll just be like, hey.
Hi. All right.
It's really hard to focus. All right, so
It's really hard to focus.
it really is. So these charges. So after claiming to the police that they were responsible for the murder and dumping the body, they're now claiming insanity. Is that true, Kelley?
Yes, but to go back a little bit to Nilo's aunt. So there's also clearly a case here where someone outside of the family or in the family is having to take care of this kid other than the mother for some reason, which kind of indicates to me
that's something that's already going on.
A record, something. So, like, what is it going to take? I just have trouble with understanding why people like her would be surprised over something like this when it's like, it's not news to you. You know that the situation for this kid is bad. That's why this other one is with you. So,
exactly.
I'm just tired of people being like, I'm so shocked.
Exactly. So, God, it's so jarring. It's like you literally can't think of anything else.
I know. It's like biologically inside you, you just have like this thing that when you hear that crying, you want to fix it.
Yes,
it's
you're like,
that,
I have to stop this crying. We have to get them happy again.
You have to make it stop.
Yeah, so I don't buy the surprise claim either, because like you're saying, if she's already helping his, watching his brother, then obviously something else is kind of probably going on, and they're aware of some foul play, or
bad living conditions.
And living conditions, true, that too. It could be monetary issues. I mean, it could be a lot of things, but again, for me, why would you remove one sibling and leave the other one to suffer the conditions?
I just don't think we should normalize. Just think about if Kira suddenly, if you were living somewhere else and you were the one raising Kira and she lived with you, like that would indicate there's trouble on the home front. That would indicate that something is up and something is wrong. And I don't know. I just hesitate to be like, oh yeah, everybody in these stories is without blame and couldn't see it coming. It's like, no, you look at the picture of both Gosney and Hamilton, and you could have seen it coming a mile away. So yeah, don't buy it. I don't know about Nilo's situation. His mom looked like a nice lady, but yeah. Anyways,
we need to look into that one a little bit more too and kind of correlate those.
Agreed.
All right, so let's get into the insanity plea. This bullshit.
Yeah.
So the Middletown woman charged with murder and the death of her 6-year-old is seeking the insanity defense after already changing her story with the police. It's like, oh, okay, now you're backtracking. Okay, sure. So she's seeking the insanity defense according to newly filed court records. Brittany Gosney struggles to assist in her defense, and counsel has serious concerns regarding her mental health. Her lawyer, David Washington Jr., wrote an motion for not guilty by reason of insanity. It was not immediately clear Thursday when her competency would be evaluated and then considered during a hearing in Butler County Common Pleas Court. Criminal defense attorney Mark Crumbane says both sides will look at Gosney's mental health history, including whether she's taken certain medications. And if there's not a strong background, and if the defense can't find a doctor to say that she's insane, then she's really in huge trouble as far as the defense is concerned. True story. Crumbane says the fact pattern might work against Gosney in court. With the cover-up actions afterward, it might make people think that she was sane at the time. He reasoned. According to the Preble County Sheriff's Office report, Gosney told investigators she was under pressure from her boyfriend to get rid of Hutchinson and his siblings. That sounds like a sane excuse to me.
Yeah.
Maybe say insane doesn't mean makes smart decisions. Sane doesn't mean makes good, solid decisions.
Well, and here's the thing
means you know what you're doing.
Well, and then I was curious. I was like, okay, so the insanity plea, we hear about it. What are the facts? What do you have to do for this to apply in your case? And the thing is that it's not used very often because it's very hard to prove. And it's something where, I mean, the history behind how that came about is also pretty fascinating, but it's not necessarily going to be something that would get this person off or get Gosney off without any jail time or any repercussions. So let's just say that. And let's also say, give her the benefit of the doubt. Anybody who could do that to a child in the way that, she's listening to this boyfriend tell her she has to get rid of her kids, there very well could be mental health issues there. But I mean, it
doesn't mean insane. I feel like there are so many different levels of mental health and mental capacity. I feel like insane is very rare to actually be founded in evidence and truth.
So when basically like the legal definition, I kind of found a website that kind of broke these things down. So people are like defendants when they say they're pleading not guilty by reason of insanity, they're asserting an affirmative defense. So that means they admit that they committed a criminal act, but seek to excuse their behavior by reason of mental illness that satisfies the definition of legal insanity. So people who are adjudged to have been insane at the time they committed a crime are neither legally nor morally guilty, which I have problems with. But, Julia, do you want to get into the definitions? There's a few definitions of the insanity plea that she could probably use or will probably use.
Definitions or go over the tests that are up next, like the M. Naughton test?
Oh, yeah. So,
because that's what's up next.
Yeah. So they're basically just breaking this down into which offenders. I think it's a difficult one because it's not just saying this person was insane. It's trying to show that there was a method to distinguish offenders whose mental illness is so severe that society should deem them not morally responsible for their behavior. I think that's going to be a difficult thing to prove here in this case. While perhaps objectively irrational, they're saying that there will be punishment regardless. But it will change depending on if they're, found to be insane. So what is the McNaughton case or Minaughton test?
So many states define legal insanity according to the M. Naughton test, developed in an 1843 English case. An offender is insane under this test if mental illness prevents the offender from knowing the difference between right and wrong. Other states have replaced the M. Naughton test with a modified version known as the Bronner test. Under this test, defendants are insane if, because of mental illness, mental disease, or defect, they lack the substantial capacity to appreciate the criminality of their actions or to conform their behavior to legal requirements. And then following that is the irresistible impulse test. Some states supplement the Emnaten or Bronner test with the irresistible impulse rule, under which offenders are insane if a mental disorder prevents.
Oh, I cut that off. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's at the bottom. Prevents them from resisting the commission of an illegal act that they know is wrong. Sorry.
Cool.
Cut and paste is really hard sometimes.
It's all good.
Oh.
So then, trial procedures.
Yeah. Tell us about it, Julia.
So, defendants have to advise prosecutors prior to trial if they plan to rely on an insanity defense. Typically, defense lawyers and prosecutors each obtain their own psychiatrists to examine a defendant and testify at trial. Judges appoint government-paid psychiatrists for indigent defendants. Defendants have the burden of convincing judges or juries by either a preponderance of the evidence or by the tougher standard of clear and convincing evidence that they were insane at the time they committed a criminal act. Evidence rules forbid defense psychiatrists from testifying to an opinion that a defendant was legally insane at the time a crime was committed. They can only provide a medical diagnosis concerning a defendant's mental illness, which this whole thing is really hard for me because if your attorney has been around this court a little bit before, like they know how to prep, like can you not pretend your way through a sanity test?
I mean,
can you not lie through it if you're trying to get the insanity plea? Can you not act like you don't know what's right and wrong? And how do you, are they really able to discern between liars and like people who are trying to get that plea versus actually insane people?
Yeah. I mean, and we can skip over the other bits here, but I just thought it was interesting. I was just kind of looking into like, well, what happens if, she does get the insanity plea and, she's not guilty. But according to like the criminal defense lawyer website, it's really just trying to say it's not a get out of jail free card. Defendants who are found not guilty by reason of insanity are rarely set free. Instead, they're almost always confined in mental health institutions. So she could remain there for a longer period of time than if she had been found guilty and sentenced to a prison term.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like swallowing yawns. Like every second, I'm like, no. Basically the crux of the issue is that, I don't know what that answer will be, but I don't think it's going to work for both of them. Is she going to get the insanity plea and
No.
Hamilton's not? Like, I just think that there's so many things that I want to know about this case and so many bits of just, since it is so fresh and so new, we're kind of.
And I wonder what kind of plea deals they've been given in regards to testifying against each other, because they're not married, so they're free to do that.
Yeah. Right. But what if they do get charged together or like sentenced together? So what if they have to go to trial together in May? Like that is a possibility. So, I mean, I should have looked into that as well, as far as like when people are tried together, what that tends to look like. But regardless here, I want to circle back around to James and his siblings. I want us to remember once again that this is happening so often that like two little kids within 40 miles of each other got dumped in the same river, or like close to the same time. Not exactly the same time, but it's still like, why aren't we talking about this all the time? Like as a country, like the state of our kids and their safety. I'm just baffled. The conversation around Child Protective Services, clearly that function of our state or local government is broken. We need to review it and we need to revise it. And Thomas and I were in a discussion yesterday about something it's not even related to violence or to this type of thing, but it was about something in the judicial system that at this point is so outdated that due to where we are in a society that's better about gender issues and equality, not necessarily good. We're not in a great place, but we're better. But stuff that needs to be revised and changed because it's so outdated. It has been law for such a long time that now it seems kind of like sexist to have these laws still in place. So I think we need to, the same thing could be said of this. It's like we've come to the understanding that children need protection and that we are doing a terrible job of it. And we're kind of so low in industrialized nations that on a scale of like who takes care of their people and their kids best, we're so low. We're failing. And I don't care if that's a Democrat or a Republican in office. We have to like start pushing for reform and making our voices heard for the kids. So
yeah, that's not a party platform. That's a human platform right there.
Absolutely.
I think that everyone should and could get behind.
Yeah. Well, and then I kind of wanted to close this out here by just saying, once again, what can we do to help? What can you do to help? And the lady who kind of was interviewed as a part of the North Star International Search and Recovery Team, she's the one who's been helping to lead the search with their canine unit and the diving units and all that stuff. She says they did not need more volunteers other than those who are certified to search for the bodies because it could do more harm than good to have everybody trampling all over potential evidence.
Yeah.
But she did suggest that anyone who would like to help can go to the North Star International Search and Recovery website and donate. So I've included the link here, and Julia will put it on our page for this episode. But we can do things. We can make our voices heard. We can support the people who do the hard work to try and bring the justice. So let's help where we can, and just whatever we can do. It's on us as people to support the hard work of others who are trying to make these situations better. They're just it should never have gotten to the point where this canine unit was needed. That's the whole point here.
Yeah. Get to the root of the problem. So these, horrific cases are not a frequent occurrence. Because they're not as high profile, in the news because it's sensitive stuff. People don't like hearing about what's happening to kids because it makes them upset, and it should. But because of that, you shouldn't not listen to it. You got to do these kids justice and listening and reading into their cases and finding resources where you could either donate or contribute your time and efforts, maybe signatures for reform, do something about it. And the first step is listening and reading the stories of what's happened to these kids.
Let's also realize that I came across this really great resource lately that I'll share at a different point because once I get started talking about it, I won't stop. But they are a group out there trying to end child abuse. And one thing that I think is so effective about what they're trying to say and how they're trying to do it is the fact that like we've talked about before, abuse is a cycle. Abuse and mental health and mental illness, those are cycles that, they don't just stop with somebody who's been abused, who doesn't abuse their own kids. Like those kids in those situations, like Kira will always see Heather's struggles. She'll always see the difficulties Heather had and, see the emotional toll that's taken. And it's about mental health. It's about kind of breaking down the barriers and stopping stigmatizing people coming forward and sharing their abuse. It's not necessarily Julia and I want to get revenge on people who've abused us. It's about trying to use our voices and our experiences to help others so they don't have to go through that.
Our thing is to use our experience and the empathy we have from it to attempt to stop the cycle from that happening to others, essentially.
Yeah. So,
because a lot of times change that needs to be made doesn't start with somebody who's totally unrelated to the cause.
yeah, absolutely.
It's usually triggered by somebody who's experienced it firsthand and is like, you know what? This is a problem.
We
I
have
really
to
don't
be
want
the
this to happen to
change.
someone else.
Yeah.
So you can either be a victim or be like, wow, I'm not the only one this happened to.
Mhm.
And that's a problem.
Absolutely. And to close this out, I'm going to just say to each and every one of you, you may come from a background that was rough. You may have had a great childhood. You may be somebody who doesn't really get this. Maybe you were an only child. Maybe you don't have siblings. I don't know. There's so many different ways that you could be approaching this from your own experience. But I think what I'd like for everybody to do is just to think about those who don't have the rights to stand up for themselves. They aren't able to protect themselves. So let's all try and do our part to protect the vulnerable, protect not just animals and, those who don't have voices necessarily. I think we also have to extend that more hardcore to children in this, very modern world with these archaic things happening. We can end this. We can end this abuse. It's going to take work and it's going to take all of us. But if you would join with us in the fight to kind of bring awareness to children's issues, please rate, review, subscribe.
And here's the thing. If you don't like our podcast, don't let that be a deterrent from an important cause. You don't have to listen to us, but you can follow up on stories and you can look at our website where we have resources. And if anything, follow up on these other resources to make a difference. Don't shut down a good cause just because you don't like our approach to telling stories.
Yeah.
So just wanted to throw that out there. We don't care if you like us. We care if you are empowered by the movement. So
yeah.
That's it. Like,
wherever you're coming from,
you can tell us how to do this all day, but what it comes down to is getting a story across and providing people with resources and exposing stories that get hidden a lot. So
yeah.
Don't just get caught up in whatever you think we're trying to do here.
I mean, I know
Look
that
at the message.
I know I look terrible without makeup, guys, but just please bear with us.
It's about the message. So if you don't like listening to us, that's fine. Just don't let that take away from the cause.
I love it, Julia. And where can they find us?
They can find us at www.thefamilytiespodcast.com.
Nice. Please, guys, if you have stories of some instances that please share it with us wherever, whether it be here on YouTube, whether it be on the podcasting platform. We would love to hear your suggestions, your recommendations. We've been getting some really great feedback. And I would really like to also say that as far as this is trying to say this in the best way possible. As far as children are concerned, they're our future. And, even if I don't want to have kids ever, we can still see that we have to work hard to provide them with the world and the opportunities to make them better than us. That's it.
Yeah.
The end.
Nice.
Join the family.
Exactly. Join the family.
Bye.
Bye.